Okay, thanks, James. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. I trust we're all suitably caffeine refreshed. I'm Chris Griffiths, WPD's Contact Centre Manager, and I'm going to talk today about customer service during severe weather events. I just want to reassure you that I'm not currently doing any kind of rain dance, praying for severe weather events, because I think we've had our fair share of severe events and since November last year. But I'd like to talk about three areas in particular. One, our current customer service performance. Secondly, the recent challenges to that performance, namely Storm Arwen, Eunice, and Franklin, and looking at how we prepared and performed during those events. And then finally, concluding with some questions around the learning points we've identified from our internal storm reviews and from customer feedback. Now, I do apologize, there are a lot of performance facts and figures in this presentation, but I think it's worth going through them just to give you a clearer understanding of the size and scope of the incidents that we were dealing with. So the first slide there, how are we delivering for our customers? Clearly, we understand the essential role that we play in everyone's lives. There's a phrase there, keeping the power flowing for our customers. Clearly very, very important to us, but in old money, it's keeping the lights on. Customers and stakeholders have continued to tell us that they value the exceptional customer service that we deliver and our performance so far in ED1. On average, a customer will experience one power cut every 2 years, lasting 24 minutes. 99% reduction in faults lasting greater than 12 hours, 38% reduction in customers affected by power cuts, and 48% reduction in average duration of power cuts. Over 85% of customer supplies restored within an hour of high voltage faults, and 9.03 out of 10 in the overall customer satisfaction. Next slide, please, Vince. Thanks. So turning to the recent storm events, we experienced, as I'm sure many of you will know, the worst storm in 30 years, with the most power cuts in a 24-hour period in our history. And in fact, I think from what I can remember, and I've been in the industry for 35 years, yes, I am that old, I think the last one of this severity was around about 1990. And that was incredible as well. So Storm Arwen, November 21, Eunice and Franklin, February 22, tested our preparedness and response to crisis like never before. Looking at Storm Arwen, WPD responded to over 4,000 incidents and restored supplies to over 285,000 customers. It affected all 4 of WPD's network with exceptional weather, including winds in excess of 92 miles an hour in Southwest and heavy snow falling in the area of the Midlands. Approximately 99% of all customers affected had their supplies restored in less than 48 hours. And in my call centers here and in the Midlands, we took more than 80,000 calls in total. Looking at Storm Eunice and Franklin, we responded to, once again, almost 4,000 incidents, restoring supplies to over 576,000 customers. We were issued with a red warning, which means stay at home, danger to life, and that was issued. Eunice was the worst storm ever to impact our southern areas. Countless trees uprooted with debris hitting the overhead lines. And the highest wind speed was 88 miles an hour over Mumbles Head in Swansea. And we took more than 220,000 calls taken by our contact center. Next slide, please, Vince. So Storm Eunice and Franklin, how did we prepare? So getting WPD ready to respond and supporting customers to prepare, we contacted just under 1.6 million of our PSR customers, and that was through text, through email, and through telephone call in advance of Eunice and Franklin arriving, just to give some advice and some reassurance, and to remind PSR customers of the telephone numbers to ring should they get a power outage, so that there was no confusion for them. Our ramp-up support preparations commenced on Monday, the 14th of February, with 200 additional staff trained, increasing to a pool of 280 staff ready to provide additional support, and ramp-up rooms opened across 7 offices. British Red Cross volunteers were prepared. Emergency planning held weather briefings, issued a preparedness statement to resilience partners, and monitored coastal flood warnings. Website resilience was enhanced to ensure it could handle major increase in traffic and enhance support from key teams, for example, communications, IT, and telecoms, to ensure customer communications could be maintained. Next slide, please. So, Storm Eunice and Franklin, what was the response? 98% of customers had supplies restored in under 48 hours. East and West Midlands areas transferred over 380 staff to the Southwest to assist with restorations. When SAFE, our helicopter unit, inspected 330 kilometers of overhead network, 113 staff and 84 contracting staff redeployed to other DNOs to support their restorations as well. We had an unprecedented volume of incoming and outgoing customer communications, more than I've certainly ever seen in my career, handled in excess of 220,000 calls by 280 ramp-up staff supporting from both home and office. 552,000 proactive contacts were made to customers via telephone or text, 168,000 of those to PSR customers, and 466,000 power cuts reported online. 2.3 million website hits were received, with 26,000 on storm pages. We reached just under 1 million customers via social media, including 4,512 incoming tweets, carried out 5,668 live web chats, and sent 2,000 WhatsApp messages. And we issued 19 newsletter emails and 1,844 emails to stakeholders. Next slide, please. In terms of vulnerable customer support, the care package we had for prolonged outage, 821 vulnerable customers were referred to our dedicated PSR escalation team for further support. For example, welfare calls, British Red Cross assistance, escalations to local team, hot food, drinks, taxis, and so forth. 13,000 proactive contacts were made offering our support package. We identified those facing the second night without power to proactively offer food and drink, hotel accommodation, and taxis to get customers back and forth. And dedicated PSR team were authorized to book hotels, order food, and support customers when needed. The British Red Cross attended 19 incidents, supporting 125 customers, and the National Carers Association catering vehicles assisted 726 customers in 6 areas. Next slide, please. So, with all that in mind, and even though we delivered industry-leading performance during those storms, how can we learn? Because we're always looking for ways to learn and improve from the experience that we went through, and by listening to what our customers were telling us when we were speaking to them during and after the events. So, in terms of the provision of welfare support, the care package could be offered possibly more consistently with clear communication to customers on its availability. This clearly is a targeted support for the most vulnerable and transiently vulnerable customers. What do we mean by transiently vulnerable? I'll just give you one example. For example, we had a young mum who had recently come out of hospital. She had the young baby and was going to be off into the 48-hour period. She wasn't registered on our PSR list, but clearly that's a vulnerable situation, and we had to assist in terms of hot food and alternative accommodation, etc. So yes, we have the people on our PSR list, but we also identify transient vulnerability as well. And in terms of communication with customers, we provided far more proactive communication in preparation than we've ever done before, with in excess of 1.6 million contacts going out during and after the storms. But we want to understand where this can be improved. So the question that we will be looking at shortly in the breakout rooms is, what could we do, and what would you expect to see in the support we provide, either prior, during, or after these extreme weather events? Next slide, please. Estimated time of restoration, or as we call them, ETR. So the provision of accurate ETRs is important for customers during power cuts. However, obviously, during major events such as storms, this can be challenging. It's worth looking at what we do on a daily basis, BAU, what we would be doing today. When an incident comes in today, we will review that incident. We will attach what we call an estimated restoration time based on the analysis of that incident and what we're facing there. And we will keep the customers updated as to the accuracy of that ETR. Now, as you can imagine, in a storm with those sort of figures that we've just gone through, incidents are arriving minute by minute and hundreds of them. So it's very challenging, nearly impossible to review every incident as quickly as we would like and give an accurate ETR. And there's a number of reasons for that. It's not just the volume of the incidents coming in, but for example, it's site conditions. The wind may still be blowing under dangerous conditions. Certainly in Arwen, up in the northern part of Stoke, there was a lot of snow and we couldn't get to the areas in order to start the restoration of supply. And so individual ETRs become very difficult to provide. So what we want to understand is, do you think that customers would still like us to try to approach it from a 3-hour, a 6-hour, a 9-hour issue of an ETR, knowing that potentially that's going to be changed to 24 or 48 hours? So we want to understand from customers whether during the storm, they would prefer WPD to provide them with the worst case scenario. For example, I'm really, really sorry, but this is going to be restored within 24 hours, or in the situation with Eunice, possibly even 48 hours. So should we provide customers with the worst case scenario so that they're better informed to make the judgments that they need on managing the situation they find themselves in? But of course, the downside of that may well be then that if the power is restored well ahead of the worst case scenario, customers may well be frustrated with unnecessary inconvenience. So the second question that we're going to look at is, what are your views on the provision of ETRs during major incidents, such as severe storms? And now we're going to break out into our breakout rooms and discuss those questions.